أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة And they have taken besides Allah false deities, false gods, whom they worship, whom they seek help from, whom they pray to, whom they try to please. لِيَكُونُوا So that they would become, meaning these gods can become, لَهُمْ for them is a source of honor, a source of glory. We learned that the mushrikeen of Makkah, they used to worship several beings, idols, in hopes that they would draw them closer to Allah, so that they would become more prestigious, they would gain more rank in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We learn in Surah Al-Zumar, ayah number 3, وَالَّذِينَ اتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِهِ أَوْلِيَاءَ مَا نَعْبُدُهُمْ إِلَّا لِيُقَرِّبُونَ إِلَى اللَّهِ زُلْفَى And those who take protectors besides Him, what do they say? That we only worship them that they may bring us nearer to Allah in position. So they worship others besides Allah, لِيَكُونُوا لَهُمْ عِزًّا So that they can be for them a source of honor, so that they can get closer to Allah. In Surah Yunus, ayah 18, we learn, وَيَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَضُرُّهُمْ وَلَا يَنْفَعُهُمْ وَيَقُولُونَ هَؤُلَاءِ شُفَعَاؤُنَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ They worship what does not harm them, what does not benefit them, and they say, these are our intercessors near Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Kalla, no. They think they will be a source of honor for them? No way. سَيَكْفُرُونَ بِعِبَادَتِهِمْ In reality, these very gods are going to deny their worship. They will disown them. They will deny all the worship that was dedicated to them. They will not accept it. What will they say? مَا كَانُوا إِيَّانَا يَعْبُدُونَ They will say, they did not used to worship us. وَيَكُونُونَ And these very gods will become عَلَيْهِمْ Against them, ضِدَّ Opponents, adversaries. ضِدَّ It's a singular word, ضِد, and the plural of the word is أَضْضَاد. أَضْضَاد Okay? But the word is also used for plural. You see the singular form over here, but it's also used for plural. Others say that ضد is actually a masdar, and masdar can be used for plural as well. It can give a plural sense as well. So who is ضد and opponent? Someone who is opposite to you. You know, we say that this is the ضد of such and such. ضلال is the ضد of huda. What does ضد mean? Opposite. So, وَيَكُونُونَ عَلَيْهِمْ ضِدًّا They will become their opponents. They will become their adversaries. They will become hostile against them. They will not help them over there. They will become their enemies over there. In Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 166, we learn, إِسْتَبَرَّأَ الَّذِينَ اتُّبِعُوا مِنَ الَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوا وَرَأَوُا الْعَذَابَ وَتَقَطَّعَتْ بِهِمُ الْأَسْبَابِ That those people who were followed, the leaders, those people who were worshipped, what will they do? They will disown who? Those people who followed them. They will completely disassociate themselves from them. They will have nothing to do with them. We see that in this dunya, in this universe, there is no one besides Allah that can be a source of honor for a person. No one besides Allah. So if a person tries to earn more wealth to gain izz, or if a person tries to please some people to gain more izz, then he is not going towards izz. He is not going to get fame. He is not going to get honor. He is not going to get glory. When is he going to get glory? When is he going to get izz? When he submits himself to Allah. Because man tawada'a lillahi rafa'ahu Allah. The one who humbles himself to Allah, Allah will raise him up. We learned about Ibrahim a.s. and his children and his grandchildren as well. That Ibrahim a.s. he submitted himself to Allah despite the opposition. Isn't it so? He was alone. But what happened? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him such an excellent substitute. And on top of that, he was also given good fame, good mention, that he is still praised today. He is still honored today by so many people. So many people. So when does a person truly get honor? When a person submits himself to Allah. When a person humbles himself before Allah. People try so many things to get fame, to get honor, to become successful. But what is the key? You turn to Allah and you will get everything. Because إِنَّ الْعِزَّةَ لِلَّهِ جَمِيعًا. Indeed, izzah is for Allah altogether. أَلَمْ تَرَى? Have you not seen? Do you not see? أَنَّا أَرْسَلْنَا الشَّيَاطِينَ. That indeed we send the devils. Against who? عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ. Upon the disbelievers. We send the devils upon the disbelievers. تَأُزُّهُمْ أَزَّا. And these shayateen, what do? They incite them with constant incitement. They incite the disbelievers, constantly inciting them against who? Against the believers, against the Prophet of Allah. تَأُزُّهُمْ أَزَّا is from the root letters Hamza, Zai, Zai, Az. And Az, it literally means when a huge pot is boiling. What is inside it? It's boiling, it's simmering. And boiling to the point of coming out, to the point of overpouring. This is what Az literally means. So from this word Az is also used for instigating, for inciting someone to do something. That you constantly urge them. You constantly incite them. You rouse their emotions. You make them angry. You make them happy. You make them sad. And as a result of that, they end up exploding. They end up doing something. And you see, if a pot is constantly boiling, the heat is on, the fire is on, and you don't reduce the heat, you don't even remove the pot, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Whatever is inside is going to continue to pour out. Isn't it so? So these shayateen, they go on these disbelievers and they constantly incite them. Constantly incite them to disobey Allah. They constantly incite them to fulfill their desires, to oppose the believers. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them this respite, that they encourage the disbelievers to do evil. So we see that shaitan, he uses many plots to lead man astray. Sometimes, what does he do? He goes to a person telling him to do shirk. And one person, he does it. Another person says, no way. So the person who says no way, shaitan goes to him again. And what does he do? He tells him to commit some major sin. Lie. So what happens? A person lies. But there's another person who says no way. So what does shaitan do? He goes after him again. And he urges him to commit some minor sin. Then again, a person refuses. So he doesn't leave him. He goes to him again and he incites him to commit some innovation, to commit some bid'ah. But still, if a person resists, if shaitan fails in getting this person to do any action that is wrong, then what does shaitan do? Does he give up on him? No. Then he goes to other people. And he incites other people against him. So that out of the fear of people, out of the opposition that he's facing, he will stop what he's doing. This is what shaitan does. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that these kafirin, they are incited by shayateen, the uzzum azza, who constantly incite them. And these shayateen, this is why every now and then some evil comes out from them against the believers, which makes life difficult for the believers. Which makes practicing the deen very difficult. Doesn't it happen that you're doing perfectly fine and all of a sudden this person comes and he says, you can't do this anymore. Creating difficulties for you. I won't let you continue with this course. I won't let you go to your class anymore. You have to do this other thing. People impose restrictions upon us. Remember that they have been incited by shaitan. Because shaitan does not want you to do what you're doing. He does not want you to. Sometimes you will see that you get up to pray, and all of a sudden your child starts crying. Perfectly fine. Nothing wrong. And that moment your child starts to cry. Shaitan has done something to that child so that your salah gets disturbed. Your salah gets delayed. This is what shaitan does to stop people from doing what they're doing. He incites other people against them. He uses others to stop them. Because a mother's heart will melt when it comes to a child. A wife's heart will become very small when it comes to the husband. Right? So shaitan uses other people to stop believers from doing good. So never fall in this trap. Never give up at this point. Always ask Allah for help. Always ask Allah for help. Think to yourself, what can people do? They cannot do anything. They cannot stop you. Allah will make ways for you. If Allah has brought you here, He will also make you go through it. Inshallah. Because sometimes the difficulty comes from those who are closest to us. Closest. Our own parents, our own spouses, our own in-laws. Those who are so good to us otherwise, who take care of us in every matter. But sometimes when it comes to the deen, there comes one difficulty. And it makes it so difficult for you to continue. At this point, don't give up. Turn to Allah. Because Allah has all power. He can set all things straight for you. He can make ways for you. He can provide you with ease. Don't give up at that point. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّا أَرْسَلْنَا الشَّيَاطِينَ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ تَؤُزُّهُمْ. As that this ayah in particular talks about the kafirin, that the kafirin are incited against the believers. But in the general sense, what does shaitan do? He uses people to stop the believer from doing what he's doing. We learn in Surah Al-An'am, ayah 112, that وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَا لِكُلِّ نَبِيٍّ عَدُوًّا شَيَاطِينَ الْإِنسِ وَالْجِنِّ يُوحِي بَعْضُهُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ زُخْرُفَ الْقَوْلِ غُرُورًا. And thus we have made for every prophet an enemy, devils from mankind and also jinn. And these devils, what do? They inspire to one another decorative speech in delusion. So what happens? They discuss amongst one another. They spread false propaganda, false rumors against a believer. And what happens? Staying on the straight path becomes extremely difficult for the believer. But remember, this is a plot of shaitan. Do not give up over there. What was happening in Makkah? Who was opposing the Prophet ﷺ and his companions? Who? Those people who were closest to them. Their own uncles, their own fathers, their own mothers. So, over here, the believers are being comforted. This is just the plot of shaitan. Don't worry, because the plot of shaitan is very, very weak. The plot of shaitan is very weak. He's using your loved ones. He's turning them against you. Don't fall over there. Ask Allah for help to break the plot of shaitan. And see it break. See it collapse. And see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes ways for you. But when does that happen? When you are determined. When you are looking at the power of Allah. When your eyes are fixed over there. Like Zakaria alayhi salam, he was so sure that Allah, you can give me a wali. I don't know how, from where, but you can give me. I want help from you. And I know that you can respond to me. وَلَمْ أَكُمْ بِدُعَائِكَ رَبِّ شَقِيًّا. So when a person prays to Allah with this confidence, with this determination, there is no way that Allah will abandon such a person. He will create a way for him. Definitely He will create a way for him. So don't give up at this point. Because many times when difficulty comes from our own family, we give up. We give up. We can't continue anymore. So don't give up at that point. Ask Allah for help. فَلَا تَعْجَلْ عَلَيْهِمْ. So do not be impatient over them. إِنَّمَا نَعُدُّ لَهُمْ عَدًّا. Indeed, we are only counting out to them a limited number. Meaning, O Prophet ﷺ, do not hasten in praying against them. Do not hasten in praying for punishment against these people. Don't give up hope. Because sometimes when difficulties come from those who are closest to us, then what happens? We develop very hostile feelings against them. We begin to dislike them. We begin to hate them. Right? And we forget that shaitan is actually inciting them. Sometimes you see mothers are saying negative things about their own children. So لا تعجل عليهم. Don't be so hasty. Be patient. This is only a plot of shaitan. And especially when, in the context where the Prophet ﷺ was facing opposition from the disbelievers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا نَعُدُّ لَهُمْ عَدًّا. We are only counting for them. Adda, a limited number. Meaning, we are counting their days and nights. We are counting their breaths, the years, the months that they're going to live. We're counting the time that they're going to have power. It's only for some time. They won't have power eternally. They won't have authority over you eternally. Everything has been given a certain time. So if right now you're being oppressed by someone has a lot of authority over you, know that they will not have authority forever. If somebody is oppressing you today, know that they cannot oppress you forever. Each person will go. Each phase will be over. What happened in the life of Yusuf alayhi salam? His brothers, they used to oppress him so much. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took him out of there. He was in prison, eventually he was taken out. Wasn't he? Every phase in life is temporary. Every phase in life. It will be over. So don't give up. Don't become hasty. Don't stop what you're doing. Stay firm. Keep praying to Allah. Remain confident. وَاصْطَبِرْ لِعِبَادَتِهِ إِنَّمَا نَعُدُّ لَهُمْ عَدًّا. And just remember, only a few days left. Only a few days left. And inshallah, I will be able to do what I want to do. We learn in Surah Ibrahim, ayah number 42, وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ اللَّهَ غَافِلًا عَمَّا يَعْمَلُ الظَّالِمُونَ. And never think that Allah is unaware of what the wrongdoers do. If somebody is oppressing you today, don't think Allah does not know. Of course He knows. If somebody is taking your freedom away from you, not letting you do what you wish to, don't think Allah does not know. He knows. Allah is not ghafil. يَوْمَ نَحْشُرُ الْمُتَّقِينَ. On the day that we will gather the righteous, إِلَى الرَّحْمَنِ, to the most merciful, وَفْدًا, as a delegation. On the day of judgment, on the day of the gathering, the muttaqeen, those who feared Allah, and out of this fear of Allah, they remained firm upon the truth. They lived by it, they held on to it. Such people will be taken to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to Ar-Rahman. How? Wafda, as a delegation. As honored guests are taken to a king to visit him. In his court. Very close to him. In his presence. So this is how the muttaqeen will be taken to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a delegation. The word wafd is a masdar, and it gives a meaning of reception, arrival. And also the word wafd, it is said that it's the plural of the word wafid. And who is wafid? A guest. Representative of a people. The wafd of Najran, remember? Delegation, a group of people who are taken in as guests. So, the muttaqeen will be taken in as guests to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We learn that on the day of judgment, when people will come out of their graves, their good deeds will be like transportation, awaiting when they come out of their graves. So as soon as a person comes out of his grave, his good deeds will be waiting for him, just like a vehicle, in order to transport him from where he was resurrected to the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is said that these deeds will say to a person that I was riding upon you, now you ride upon me. I was riding upon you, now you ride upon me. In the dunya, you were carrying me. You see, carrying something is difficult. Sometimes performing certain deeds, studying, learning, doing the lesson, becomes very heavy, very difficult. Getting up for salah becomes very difficult. It's as if a huge burden is upon you. And you're being, alhamdulillah, many people don't take it like a burden. But for many, it's a huge responsibility. It's a huge task. It's a huge challenge. When 3 children are crying next to you asking for food, and you're desperate to complete your lesson, you're desperate to complete your assignment. So at that time, life becomes difficult. It becomes very challenging. You feel as if you have such a huge responsibility, such a huge burden on yourself. You feel the weight on yourself. That you feel your body becoming weak. At that time, don't give up. Because this same weight that you're carrying on yourself today, it will carry you tomorrow. These deeds that are on you today, they will carry you tomorrow. So don't give up. They will say to a person, I was riding on you, now you ride me today. And if a person has been performing evil deeds, then these evil deeds a person will have to carry on the Day of Judgment as well. Wizr. So, then a person will be transported on that vehicle of good deeds that he has performed. And he will be taken to who? To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As an honored guest is received from the place where he arrives at the airport to the house of the host that he is visiting. This is how the believers will be taken from their graves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And some have said that what this means is that in Jannah, the muttaqeen will be taken to visit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will be taken to visit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a wafd, as a delegation. وَنَسُوقُ, and we will drive al-mujrimina, the criminals, ila jahannama, to hellfire. How? Wirda, in thirst. On the one hand, there are people who are being transported on their deeds, on the vehicles of their good deeds, quickly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And on the other hand, there are people who are criminals who will be taken to hellfire in thirst. They will be arriving there extremely thirsty. With is thirst. لا يملكون الشفاعة. None will have power of intercession. No one will be able to intercede for such mujrimeen. No one will intercede for them. إِلَّا مَنِ اتَّخَذَ, except for the one who had taken عِنْدَ الرَّحْمَانِ, from the most merciful, عَهْدًا, a covenant. What does it mean by this? Meaning, shafa'ah will only be done for a person for whom Allah has permitted. So ahd gives the meaning of idhn, permission. Intercession will only take place for the one who Allah allows. And also, ahd has been understood as the covenant of Tawheed. The covenant of Tawheed, meaning a person who used to believe and live by the oneness of Allah, then such a person, shafa'ah will be done only in his favor. We learn in Surah An-Naba, ayah number 38, لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا. They will not speak except for one whom the most merciful permits, and he will say what is correct. Only such a person will be allowed to speak. وَقَالُوا اتَّخَذَ الرَّحْمَنُ وَلَدًا. And they say, the people, the Yahud, the Nasara, the Mushrikeen, they say, اتَّخَذَ الرَّحْمَنُ وَلَدًا, that Allah has a child, that the most merciful has a son. Allah says, لَقَدْ جِئْتُمْ شَيْئًا إِدَّا. You have done an atrocious thing. You have said something that is extremely reprehensible, that would cause a calamity, that would cause a disaster. لَقَدْ جِئْتُمْ شَيْئًا إِدَّا. The word id is from the root letters Hamza, Dal, Dal, and id is used for something that is so inappropriate, that is so displeasing, that is so disliked, that it could cause a disaster to occur. Something that is so munkar, extremely reprehensible, that it would create disorder. It would cause a calamity. It would cause a lot of chaos. For example, it is said, أَدَّتِ النَّاقَةُ تُئِدٌّ, meaning the she-camel, it created a lot of fuss and chaos upon its child being taken away from it. Just imagine, if an animal, its baby is taken away from it before it, how much chaos it will create, how much fuss it will create, what a disaster it will cause, what a calamity it will cause. But this is just because a child of a camel has been taken away. Now this statement that people utter, that Allah has a child, this is munkaran azeeman. It's a great munkar. It's a greatly reprehensible statement that could cause a calamity, that could cause a disaster. What disaster is that? That takadu samawatu yatafattarna minhu. That the heavens almost rupture therefrom. It's such a huge statement, it's such a wrong statement, that the calamity that it would cause is that the heavens, the skies, would almost rupture from it. Yatafattarna, fa-ta-ra. Tafattur is when something is split, when something is broken into pieces. So the heavens, they would rupture. They would break into pieces, minhu, because of this statement. Why? Out of the fear of the magnificence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That the heavens are so afraid. The skies are so afraid when a child is ascribed to Allah that they would almost break asunder. وَتَنْشَقُّ الْأَرْضُ. And the earth would split open. Sheen, qaf, qaf. Inshiqaq is when something is broken apart. When something is split open. When something is ripped apart. So the earth would be ripped apart out of the fear of Allah. Because of the gravity of the statement, وَتَخِرُّ الْجِبَالُ. And the mountains would fall down. Hadda, in devastation, in ruin. Had is from the root letters had, al, dal, and had is when something huge suddenly falls down and breaks apart. When something huge collapses to the ground and breaks apart, creating a lot of noise. So the mountains, they would fall down, crashing, collapsing. This is how great this statement is. Would anyone remain? Would anything remain in this dunya? That the heavens are ruptured, the earth is torn apart, and the mountains fall down. أَن دَعَوْا لِلرَّحْمَنِ وَلَدًا. That they attribute to the most merciful a son. But unfortunately, we hear this statement all the time. But nothing happens to us. No feelings of anger. No feelings of fear. Nothing happens to us. But when such statements are uttered, this is how the skies feel. This is how the earth feels. This is how the mountains feel. That they would rupture. They would tear apart. They would fall down. Everything would be destroyed. وَمَا يَنْبَغِي لِلرَّحْمَنِ. And it is not appropriate for the most merciful أَن يَتَّخِذَ وَلَدًا. That he should take a son. It does not befit the most merciful that he should have a son. He does not need a son. It does not befit him. It is not appropriate for his majesty. It is not appropriate for his greatness that he should have a child. Because he is the creator and everything else is what? Creation. And the creator is sublime, much more majestic. He does not need a child. In kullu, there is not, it is not. Man fis samawati wal ard. There is no one in the heavens and the earth. Illa, except ati, one that comes. Ar-Rahman, to the most merciful. Abadan, as a servant. There is no one in the heavens and the earth except that he will come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a servant. When? On the day of judgment. And also now, he is to Allah a servant. Everyone in the heavens and the earth. Whether living or non-living. Whether a person or an animal or a jinn or an angel or a building, anything that is in the heavens and the earth. Man fis samawati wal ard. What is its status? That it is the abd of Allah. It is a servant of Allah. Because Allah is the Rabb, He is the Malik, and everything besides Him is abd. In Surah An-Naml, ayah 87, we learn, وَكُلٌّ أَتَوْهُ دَاخِرِينَ. And all will come to Him humbled. All of them, all the people, all the creation will come to Him humbled. So the one who is the only master, the only owner, how can he have a child? It does not befit him. And when people associate a child to him, this is a tremendous statement. We learn, Imam Ahmad has reported from Abu Musa that he said that the Prophet ﷺ said, there is no one more patient than Allah. No one who is more patient than Allah concerning something harmful that He hears. For verily, partners are associated with Him, and a son is ascribed to Him, while He is the one who gives them good health, protects them, and sustains them. If we do something for someone, and they give credit to someone else, they say that somebody helped you, that somebody assisted you, how would we feel? We would speak up to defend ourselves. We would cause a chaos. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so patient that partners are ascribed to Him. Children are ascribed to Him. Whereas He is the one who gives people good health. He alone protects them. He alone sustains them. And still, He does not punish them immediately. إِن كُلُّ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ إِلَّا آتِ الرَّحْمَنِ عَبْدًا لَقَدْ أَحْصَاهُمْ. He has enumerated them. وَعَدَّهُمْ عَدًّا. And He has counted them a full counting. أَحْصَاهُمْ. Ihsa is to enumerate something. To list, to keep a record of. And ihsa is such counting in which a person has full power over the record as well. That he has full power over the things that he has enumerated, that he has listed. So ahsahum, he has calculated, he has enumerated all of them. وَعَدَّهُمْ. And he has also counted them addan, in number. Meaning every single creation, He knows their number. We don't know how many people there are, but He knows. We don't know how many animals there are. He knows. We don't know the numbers, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows their numbers. We don't know how many times we've eaten, but Allah knows. We don't know how many times we have said a particular word, but Allah knows. We don't know how many times we have gone to a particular place, but Allah knows. We don't know how many breaths we have taken. Allah knows. وَعَدَّهُمْ عَدًّا. And He has numbered them fully, completely. Every detail of theirs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has counted it. He has listed it. He knows about them fully well. So if such is the knowledge and the power of Allah alone, He does not need a child. He does not need a child. وَكُلُّهُمْ. And all of them, آتِيهِ. One who comes to Him, يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. On the day of resurrection. فَرْدًا. Alone. He has enumerated and counted and listed all of them with all of their details. And every single one of them will come to Him on the day of judgment alone, individually, by Himself, no one by His side. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Indeed, those people who have believed, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. And who have done righteous deeds. Those people who believe and do righteous deeds, سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدًّا. The Most Merciful will appoint for them affection. He will make for them wood. What is wood? Love. Affection. Those people who believe and do righteousness, Allah will make wood for them in the hearts of other people. That other people will begin to love them. Other people will have affection for them. And also, سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدًّا. That He will appoint from Himself wood. That He will love them. They feel no one loves them. They feel they're alone. They feel they're being opposed. Allah loves them. سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدًّا. It is said that when some people embraced Islam, their families and their friends isolated them. They left them. So they felt very alone. At times there was only one believer from one tribe. Alone. No one else who would believe. Just imagine, put yourself in this situation. No one No one at all is like you. Everyone is hostile towards you because of your faith. And some have said that these ayahs were in particular revealed about Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, because he was one of the richest men in Makkah, one of the wealthiest people in Makkah. And you can imagine that his friends were the elite of Makkah. And none of them embraced Islam except for him and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. So he would feel very lonely. Very lonely. That those friends who he was with, whom he worked with, whom he grew up with, whom he did so many things with, they had all left him. And he was alone because of his iman. And it's not necessary that a person becomes alone in the physical sense, that there is no one with him. He wants to go somewhere but nobody's with him. No, it's when a person is mentally alone, in the sense that no one thinks the way you think. No one believes the way you believe. You feel so alone. Your thinking does not match. People don't understand you, so you feel very alone. This is how Abdul Rahman ibn Auf was. So what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? That those people who believe and do righteous deeds, Allah will create love for them in the hearts of other people. You think you have lost some friends today? Allah will give you better friends. Because when a person loses something for the sake of Allah, Allah will replace with something that is much better. سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدَّ. And it's possible that you think that you are so alone. You can't go anywhere, people don't invite you anymore, you feel so lonely, you don't know who to talk to, who to chat with. And sometimes it happens that a person becomes so busy in his work, in his ibadah, in the learning and the teaching of the deen, that he really feels alone sometimes. Because typically people have so much time to go out with their friends, to go to gatherings, to go to dinners, to go shopping, to do this, to do that. But when you're studying alone. When you're preparing alone. But at that time, a person should remember that Allah will put love in the heart of other people for him. That Allah loves him. And if a person is surrounded by many people in this world today, eventually, كُلُّهُمْ آتِيهِ يَوْمُ الْقِيَامَةِ فَرْدًا, you're going alone to your Lord. So, all these people who are around you, eventually they leave you anyway. But if you befriend Allah, then Allah will never leave you alone. He will never leave you alone. You will have friends who sincerely love you in this world. You will have companionship in your grave when you're alone. When no friend of this dunya will want to come with you. But you will have companionship of the Qur'an because you spent your time with the Qur'an. And on the Day of Judgment, you will have the love of Allah. You will have the reward of Allah. سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدَّ. So never feel lonely. Never feel that you've lost all your friends. That life has become so difficult. That you spend so much time on your own, away from people. No, don't feel bad. This is just a temporary phase. سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدَّ. And we see that the Sahaba who suffered from loneliness in Makkah, what happened when they went to Medina? They got such good friends who were just like their brothers. Who gave preference to them above themselves. Who shared everything with them. Who loved them. Who were sincere to them. What's the point of having so many friends who are not sincere to you? Even if one friend is loyal to you, if one friend thinks the way you think, he is enough for you. سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدَّ. The Prophet ﷺ said, verily, whenever Allah loves a servant of His, He calls Jibreel and He says, "O Jibreel, I love so and so. So you love him too." Thus Jibreel will love him. Then Jibreel will call out to the dwellers of the heavens. And he will say, verily Allah loves so and so. So you too must love him. So the dwellers of heavens, they begin to love that person. And then the dwellers of the heavens love him. And he will be given acceptance in the earth as well. سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدَّ. Many people try different things to gain the love of others. Isn't it so? There are books and books that are written. Do this, try this, to gain the love of other people. What is it that we learn here? That when a person believes and he does righteous deeds, then he will get the love of Allah, and he will also get the love of people. فَإِنَّمَا يَسَّرْنَاهُ بِلِسَانِكَ. So, O Prophet ﷺ, we have only made it easy. How? بِلِسَانِكَ, in your language. What have we made easy? This Qur'an. To understand, to comprehend. Yassarna from the root letters, Yasin, Ra, Yusr. And Yusr is ease. And Taysir is when something is facilitated for the other. When something is made easy for the other. Easy does not mean simple. Easy means that it's possible for him to do it. He might have to put in a lot of effort, but it is possible. It's facilitated. فَإِنَّمَا يَسَّرْنَاهُ, we have made the understanding of the Qur'an easy, بِلِسَانِكَ, in your language. Because it has come in the language that you speak. Meaning, Arabic language. If it was in some other language, it would be difficult to comprehend the Qur'an. A person might say, my first language is not Arabic. But the fact is that because the Qur'an is in Arabic language, it is easier to understand the concepts. If it was in any other language, it would take so many words. The Qur'an would be multiple volumes. فَإِنَّمَا يَسَّرْنَاهُ بِلِسَانِكَ لِتُبَشِّرَ بِهِ الْمُتَّقِينَ. And what's the objective? What's the goal? That you give good news to the muttaqeen. Give them good news. Of what? Of Allah's love. Of Allah's help. Of His reward. وَتُنذِرَ, and you warn, bihi, with it, قَوْمَ اللُّدَّ, a people who are hostile. A people who are fiercely quarrelsome. Lud is the plural of alad. Remember aladul khisam? A person who is extremely argumentative. Very, very argumentative. A stubborn disputant. Who does not give up arguing. Who continues to argue. So such people, you're supposed to warn them. So if a person wants guidance, this Qur'an guides a person. In all aspects of a person's life. Because in it is good news, in it is warning, and the message in the Qur'an has been made very clear, easy to understand. In Surah Al-Dukhan, ayah 58, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِنَّمَا يَسَّرْنَاهُ بِلِسَانِكَ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَذَكَّرُونَ. And indeed we have eased the Qur'an in your language that they might be reminded. It is in your language so that they can take a lesson. In Surah Al-Qamar, ayah 40, Allah asks us, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. And we have certainly made the Qur'an easy for remembrance. Is there any who will remember? It's easy, it's there. You want guidance? Open it up, read it. You want motivation? Open it up, read it. You want confidence? Open it up, read it. وَكَمْ أَهْلَكْنَا قَبْلَهُمْ. And how many have we destroyed before them? Min qarnin, of generation, meaning so many generations, so many people, so many past nations have been destroyed before. Why? Because of their denial, because of their takdeeb, because of their hostility. هَلْ تُحِسُّ مِنْهُمْ. Do you perceive from them? تُحِسُّ, حاسين سين, hiss. Hiss is sense. Do you sense minhum, from them, min ahadin, from anyone? Do you find any of them? Do you sense any of them? Can you see them? Can you hear them? Can you touch them? Can you go to their houses? Can you speak to them? No, you cannot. أَوْ تَسْمَعُوا, or can you hear? lahum, for them, rikza. Any sound? Riks is from the root letters Ra, Kaf, Zai. And rikaz is hidden treasure. So from this, riks is a sound that is very, very subtle, that is very low. It can barely be heard. Like the buzzing sound of a fly, of a bee. It's very, very low. It can barely be heard. So do you hear any sound, the slightest of sound even from them? No, you do not. They're gone. And one day you too will be gone. Life was in those people. Their houses were full. Children, money, wealth, so much was there. But all of it is gone. You don't see any of their belongings. You don't hear their words. You don't hear their conversations. They're gone. And one day you will also be gone. But what will go with you? your deeds. So don't spend your time, don't spend your life in this dunya aiming for it. Aim for the akhirah that is eternal. Recitation.
وَاتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ آلِهَةً لِيَكُونُوا لَهُمْ عِزًّا كَلَّا سَيَكْفُرُونَ بِعِبَادَتِهِمْ وَيَكُونُونَ عَلَيْهِمْ ضِدًّا أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّا أَرْسَلْنَا الشَّيَاطِينَ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ تَؤُزُّهُمْ أَزًّا فَلَا تَعْجَلْ عَلَيْهِمْ إِنَّمَا نَعُدُّ لَهُمْ عَدًّا يَوْمَ نَحْشُرُ الْمُتَّقِينَ إِلَى الرَّحْمَنِ وَفْدًا وَنَسُوقُ الْمُجْرِمِينَ إِلَى جَهَنَّمَ وِرْدًا لَا يَمْلِكُونَ الشَّفَاعَةَ إِلَّا مَنِ اتَّخَذَ عِندَ الرَّحْمَنِ عَهْدًا وَقَالُوا اتَّخَذَ الرَّحْمَنُ وَلَدًا لَقَدْ جِئْتُمْ شَيْئًا إِدًّا تَكَادُ السَّمَاوَاتُ يَتَفَطَّرْنَ مِنْهُ وَتَنشَقُّ الْأَرْضُ وَتَخِرُّ الْجِبَالُ هَدًّا أَن دَعَوْا لِلرَّحْمَنِ وَلَدًا وَمَا يَنبَغِي لِلرَّحْمَنِ أَن يَتَّخِذَ وَلَدًا إِن كُلُّ مَن فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ إِلَّا آتِي الرَّحْمَنِ عَبْدًا لَقَدْ أَحْصَاهُمْ وَعَدَّهُمْ عَدًّا وَكُلُّهُمْ آتِيهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَرْدًا إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدًّا فَإِنَّمَا يَسَّرْنَاهُ بِلِسَانِكَ لِتُبَشِّرَ بِهِ الْمُتَّقِينَ وَتُنذِرَ بِهِ قَوْمًا لُدًّا وَكَمْ أَهْلَكْنَا قَبْلَهُمْ مِنْ قَرْنٍ هَلْ تُحِسُّ مِنْهُمْ مِنْ أَحَدٍ أَوْ تَسْمَعُ لَهُمْ رِكْزًا.
So this is the end of Surah Maryum. And just a quick summary. In Surah Al-Kahf, we learned Al-Malu wal-Banuna Zinatul Hayat ad-Dunya. That wealth and children, they are the adornment of the life of this world. And in this surah, what do we learn about? Family ties, relations, that between a father and a son, that between a mother and a son, that between old parents and a son, close relatives, grandchildren, grandparents. And the message that we learn from this surah is that no person at all will come to your aid on the Day of Judgment. No matter how righteous he is, no matter how close he is to you, if we do not have taqwa ourselves, if we have not done something for ourselves. And in order to develop taqwa, in order to do something, we need to have a strong connection with the Book of Allah. On the Day of Judgment, nothing at all will help. A person's parents, his relatives, his friends, his wealth, nothing will help. What will help him are his good deeds. Al-Baqiyatu Salihat. And if a person has spent his life pursuing the shahawat, وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ, then what will happen? فَسَوْفَ يَلْقَوْنَ غَيًّا. Then soon such a person will meet غَيّ, a valley in hell. So in this surah, there is great warning, there is great motivation that a person should not get lost in the zina of this dunya. Yes, it is necessary. One way is that a person spends his life in pursuing the zina. But the other is that preparing your children, using your wealth, for the sake of the akhirah. Investing them for the akhirah. Just as Zakaria alayhi salam had a son whom he wanted to serve the deen. Maryam alayhi salam also had a son who served the deen. Ibrahim alayhi salam also had a son and a grandson who served the deen. And the same we can also do for ourselves. That we can use these blessings that Allah has given either to prepare for the akhirah or we can get lost in them. But eventually, all of us are going alone. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.